What's going on, guys? B Sky here with you. It's the first four downs, and on today's show, we got your quarterback sit starts ahead of week 3. Week 2's in the books. Some great, outstanding games. Good Monday night performance from Aaron Rodgers. I was still worried about the Packers, but that's okay. We'll get into it. This is the quarterback sit starts ahead of week 3. So keep it locked and loaded right here at the first four downs. What's going on, guys, and welcome back. As I mentioned in the preview, we're going over the quarterback sit starts. These are all the sit starts from every single matchup ahead of week 3 for your fantasy football team. So before we get to today's content, don't forget, like the video, subscribe, share, thumb bell, all that good stuff. Comment if there was a quarterback I mentioned I didn't give you enough information on, or there's one that I missed on. Drop in the comment section. I'll be glad to get back to you, give you my advice. If you need questions, just drop in the comment section. So let's dive right into it. The first matchup we're looking at Thursday Night Football. Carolina Panthers on the road against Houston Texans. Tyrod Taylor, hurt, going to be out of this game. Obviously, Carolina smash spot. They're going to be winning this football game no matter what. Houston Texans actually surprised me through 2 weeks. Tyrod Taylor was playing great against Cleveland Browns last week. Had a touchdown on the ground, touchdown through the air, 125 passing yards. He looked good, but now that he's out, you got Davis Mills coming in here. You're not going to be starting Davis Mills at all. Sam Darnold, I'm actually going to say possible stream option this week against the Texans defense that has looked actually better than I thought, but they're still not great. And Sam Darnold's played okay. 300 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, an interception against the New Orleans Saints defense. So Sam Darnold, a possible stream here. I'm looking for better options. Obviously, there's a lot of tough matchups, some quarterbacks this week. So I'm looking for some other options. But if you got to roll out Sam Darnold, I understand could be a decent day here for the quarterback. On to the Indianapolis Colts on the road against the Tennessee Titans. Carson Wentz sprains not one, but both ankles. This is absolutely hilarious in my opinion, but that's okay. Carson Wentz sprained both ankles. Looking like questionable. He probably won't be out there. You're not going to be firing up any quarterback here, even against the Tennessee defense. That wasn't very good. You saw last week, even against Russell Wilson, gave up a lot of big plays. Week 1 against Kyler Murray. The Tennessee Titans defense is still a work in progress, in my opinion. But you're not starting a quarterback here for the Indianapolis Colts. On the flip side, Ryan Tannehill struggled out the gate so far. That offensive line does not look good. The Colts defense is pretty good. And it's not playing up to par to where I thought they would be at this point in the season, but that's okay. They're still pretty good, pretty decent. If you got to fire up Tannehill here, I understand. I really think that he's going to get it going with these wide receivers. You saw last week, the secondary's really not been able to put it together for the Colts. Gave up the 2 touchdowns to Matthew Stafford. So, yeah, I understand if you're starting Tannehill here. It is a tough spot. He hasn't looked great so far, 347 passing yards. No touchdowns, no interceptions against the Seattle Seahawks just this last Sunday. So if you got to fire up Tannehill, I understand. It's not a bad spot here, but it's not a great one either. The Atlanta Falcons on the road against the New York Giants. Considering some of the quarterbacks this week in tougher matchups, these players are possible stream options. Matt Ryan coming off a decent day, 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, did have 3 interceptions against Tampa Bay. The Giants, Daniel Jones, if he's going to get 60 rushing yards a game, he's a viable option to start. I can't believe I'm saying this, to be honest. I never thought Daniel Jones, but that's okay. Going against the Atlanta Falcons defense, it's got a 48 over-under in this game. That tells me there should be some points to be had here. Do I trust Daniel Jones here? Do I trust Matt Ryan? Not necessarily, but this game could potentially turn into a shootout. I was surprised on Thursday night with the Washington football team, how that game kind of shaked out to be. I could see Daniel Jones here having a pretty decent day against an Atlanta secondary. You saw it just got roasted. Atlanta's given up the most fantasy points to the quarterback position. So Daniel Jones, a possible stream option this week. And Matt Ryan, he's also on the streaming radar for me. LA Chargers on the road against Kansas City Chiefs. You're starting Patrick Mahomes. Set and forget it. It's okay. Justin Herbert, you're starting him too. Back-to-back games, 300-plus passing yards, but only 2 touchdowns through the first 2 games. He did get a couple called back from some questionable penalty calls just last week against the Dallas Cowboys, but still just 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. This is a get-right game. Potential huge shootout here, 55.5 over-under. Kansas City Chiefs been decimated on the ground. But I think this is a potential for huge points here. You're starting Justin Herbert. You're starting Patrick Mahomes all day long. Cincinnati Bengals on the road against Pittsburgh Steelers. I can't trust Ben Roethlisberger at all, as far as I can throw him, which probably won't be very far. So obviously I'm not trusting him against the Bengals defense that has not looked that good. But I still can't trust Roethlisberger. That offensive line looks bad. He just looks old. It might be time to retire Ben Roethlisberger from your fantasy team, to be honest. On the flip side, Joe Burrow played okay against Chicago Bears defense. Honestly, threw 3 interceptions back to back, but still came out of it with 2 touchdown passes. And going against Pittsburgh defense, they could be banged up here. TJ Watt dealing with the groin injury. The secondary, Joe Hayden missed the game. So obviously you got to wait and see with those injuries how it shakes out for the Steelers defense. If they're missing some key pieces, Joe Burrow might be an option to be played this week. It's still a tough spot on the road against Pittsburgh defense. I get it. They gave up 350 plus passing yards to Derek Carr. Really roasted him, Henry Ruggs. So Joe Burrow, a possible start here, but you got to weather the storm. This is a divisional matchup. There could, these games get really tight and close no matter what. So Joe Burrow is a close start for me, but I'm not so sure. If you got better options, I would look elsewhere. Chicago Bears on the road against Cleveland Browns. Justin Fields looking like he's going to be starting this week. Now the Cleveland defense, I don't know what is going on there. The secondary, it's really struggling. They're not getting all the way at the quarterback with that pass rush. Hopefully they start to pick it up. I really thought the Browns would be a better defense up to this point, but the Texans, they were really putting it on early. So Justin Fields, I don't know if I can necessarily trust just throwing him in your lineup here against the Cleveland defense at home. That is pretty good, to be honest. And Justin Fields is a little raw. Don't get me wrong. Obviously he's a safe play with the rushing ability. So you saw Tyrod Taylor with the rushing touchdown. I could see Justin Fields have an okay day here. If you got to throw him in your lineup as a stream, I get it. But it is a risky play. On the other side, Baker Mayfield. Odell Beckham, is he going to be able to play? Jarvis Landry, now dealing with the MCL sprain, might miss some time. I mean, obviously he's an Iron Man, only missed one game in his entire career, so I don't really know if, is Baker going to have any pass catchers? That's the question mark here. Against the Bears defense where the secondary is decimated, but the front line is okay. Not horrible, but not great. I think, once again, you're going to see a Cleveland Browns team that runs the football heavy, some play action pass to the tight end position. Baker Mayfield just hasn't been good enough for me to want to jump up and start him here. So I'm kind of straying away from these quarterbacks in this matchup. Justin Fields, I understand if you got to stream him. You got a quarterback that was hurt. I mean, hopefully you weren't starting Tua or Andy Dalton, somebody like that. But if so, Justin Fields, a possible stream option this week. Baltimore Ravens on the road against the Detroit Lions. Lamar Jackson, that is all. No, seriously, Lamar Jackson, outstanding player. You saw on Monday Night Football. He can do it all, plain and simple. This Detroit Lions defense is non-existent, period. It's going to be a field day for Lamar Jackson in this one. I really think they're going to beat him by 2-3 touchdowns at least. The defense has really struggled a little bit, but I think they're better than the Green Bay Packers defense. So I'm going to take Lamar Jackson all day long, and I can't trust Jared Goff, not in this matchup. New Orleans Saints on the road against New England Patriots. Jameis Winston, kind of MIA. To be honest, it's kind of Jekyll and Hyde with what's going on there in New Orleans. I have no clue what that offense is doing. They couldn't run the ball, couldn't move the ball at all. Don't get me wrong, Carolina's defense is good. They played pretty well last season. And coming into this season, there were expectations for them to improve. They look good, plain and simple. So Jameis Winston going against the New England Patriots defense, just intercepted Zach Wilson 4 times, albeit Bill Belichick owns rookie quarterbacks. We've already known this, so I'm not surprised there. But I can't start Jameis Winston on the road in New England. It's impossible, especially after last week's performance. So Jameis is a sit for me all day long. On the flip side, Mac Jones, you're not really starting him here. He's playing very well, very efficiently, very accurate, but he's not, moving the needle in fantasy. So for me, I can't really start Mac Jones here against the Saints defense. They gave up 300 yards and 2 touchdowns to Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold of all quarterbacks. But Mac Jones, I cannot be starting him just this week. I don't see any explosion coming here from a New England team. I think this is going to be kind of a pace game. You're going to see a lot of running in this game, a lot of groundwork. So Mac Jones, Jameis Winston, not starts for me this week. Arizona Cardinals on the road against Jacksonville Jaguars. Kyler Murray, QB1, through 2 weeks, looks outstanding, plain and simple. Now gets the Jacksonville defense that is lost. The whole team is lost. So obviously you're firing Kyler Murray every single week. Set it and forget it. On the flip side, Trevor Lawrence, 118 yards passing last week, another interception, a couple interceptions, whatever. It doesn't matter. He's not playing well at all. Very inaccurate. One of the most inaccurate quarterbacks so far through 2 weeks. So Trevor Lawrence is off the radar for me in fantasy until the Jacksonville Jaguars can really show me something in this offense, period. So obviously you're starting Kyler, and Trevor Lawrence you probably shouldn't even have on your fantasy teams. Washington football team on the road against Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen, QB 19 through the first 2 weeks of the season. Not playing great, albeit it was against Miami, a divisional matchup. And then on top of that, week 1, they got Pittsburgh Steelers, all fully healthy defense of the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, yes, 2 terrific defenses he's faced so far. Now he gets to watch the football team that hasn't played up to par with where I thought they would be at this point in the season, but still a great defense, a great defensive front. So, Josh Allen, You're going to be firing him up here. If you drafted him as your QB, you're going to be firing him. Another tough spot here at home against another good defense, but it's set and forget it with Josh Allen. You hope there are better days ahead. On the flip side, Taylor Heinicke threw the ball 46 times against the New York Giants football team that, I'll tell you what, I'm surprised that even happened. Now, I'm not saying I don't like Heinicke. I think he's a manageable quarterback, but I don't see this offense running through him and then winning too many games. So Heinicke's not a start for me here against the Buffalo defense that's good. You saw they destroyed Miami 35-0 last week. Pittsburgh, they won on their defense, not by the offense the week prior. So Buffalo defense is legit, playing well early in the season. So start Josh Allen, sit Taylor Heinicke. New York Jets on the road against the Denver Broncos. Teddy Bridgewater. He's my stream of the week every week so far. He's easy matchups, plain and simple. Last week, 300 yards, 2 touchdowns. These are the lines that Bridgewater's is going to have on a consistent basis. Now at home against the Jets secondary, it's decimated. Plain and simple. The New England Patriots kind of just walked right through that matchup like it was nobody's business. So I'll tell you right now, Teddy Bridgewater, obvious start for me this week. A possible stream option. And Zach Wilson, 4 interceptions. Bill Belichick owns rookie quarterbacks. So now heading into a Denver defense that just shut down Trevor Lawrence and that passing attack, 118 yards by Trevor Lawrence, I want to say. I'm not starting Zach Wilson here. I like Zach Wilson as a talent. I think he's actually playing, in my opinion, even better than Trevor Lawrence, albeit he just did throw 4 interceptions. But Zach Wilson I like as a talent. I'm not starting here against the Denver defense. Plain and simple. Miami Dolphins on the road against the Las Vegas Raiders. Derek Carr, do you start him or sit him? Right now, leading the league in passing yards, period. He's on pace for almost 7,000 passing yards. Is that going to sustain? Probably not. But he's playing great. Playing great football. They're winning games. Now they're at home against the Miami team. Facing against, is it going to be Tua? Is it going to be Jacoby Brissett? We'll have to wait and see. I'm not starting a quarterback there. Las Vegas Raiders, their front line on the defense has played very well through 2 weeks. The defense is very much improved, going from one of the worst last season to above average this season. Plain and simple. I'm liking the outlook for the Las Vegas Raiders. I really think they can be able to beat Miami here. But Derek Carr, it's a tough spot for me to start him against the Miami secondary that's really held Josh Allen down a little bit, just 2 touchdowns through the air. And also, week 1, played very well against Mac Jones. I want to say he got close to 300 yards, but just 1 touchdown. Giving up 3 touchdowns through the air. Their secondary is good. That's their strength. So, obviously, you have to weather your storm if you got to start Derek Carr this week or not. I think he's a possible start. I don't know if they're going to be able to move the ball on the ground. So, we'll have to wait and see. Is Josh Jacobs going to be healthy? Is he going to be ready to go? But Derek Carr, a possible start here. On the flip side, Tua, Jacoby Brissett, you're not starting them. I'm not starting either one in this matchup. Seattle Seahawks on the road against the Minnesota Vikings. You're starting Russell Wilson every week. He's played great through 2 weeks. You're going to be starting him here against the Minnesota defense that is just already decimated with injuries. Plain and simple. They're hurting. They're giving up a lot of points. You're starting Russell Wilson. Flip side, Kirk Cousins. I thought there possibly could be a shootout last week. He did get the 3 touchdowns. I think Kirk Cousins every single week is going to be in that potential considering how bad the defense is. So, also Dalvin Cook dealing with a little bit of an ankle issue. We'll have to wait and see through the week how that pans out. But that just bodes well for Kirk Cousins to probably throw the ball even more. So, obviously, Kirk Cousins and Russell Wilson, I'm starting them both this week in a potential shootout. Tampa Bay Bucks at Los Angeles Rams. You're starting Tom Brady. You're starting Matthew Stafford. Plain and simple. They're both playing great. Stafford, 5 touchdowns, just 1 interception. And playing good football, sound football. Against the Tampa Bay defense, just giving up some points. Plain and simple, especially the quarterbacks. Matt Ryan, 2 touchdowns. Dak Prescott, you see what he did in week 1. Back-to-back 300-yard passing days for quarterbacks. So I'm starting Stafford all day. Tom Brady, you're not sitting him. It's plain and simple. 9 touchdowns. Him and Kyler Murray, in my opinion, are the MVP frontrunners. Plain and simple. They're both playing outstanding football. You're starting Tom Brady. You're starting Matthew Stafford. Green Bay Packers on the road against San Francisco 49ers. Aaron Rodgers coming off an outstanding day. Don't get me wrong. 4 touchdowns through the air. Made it look easy against the Detroit Lions defense. That's horrible. Plain and simple. I don't think there's a worse defense in the league by far. So Aaron Rodgers, a possible start here. Obviously, you drafted him as your starting quarterback. You're probably firing him up here. But I worry that offensive line still didn't look good. Still looked shaky. And now you're going into San Francisco where they can get after the passer a little bit. So if that front line is healthy, Bosa, Kinlaw, if those guys are healthy and ready to play, it could be a long day here for Aaron Rodgers. And he's really had some ups and downs playing the San Francisco 49ers throughout his career. So obviously you're probably starting him here. But I could see a path in which the 49ers beat him. The defense, that front line just gets after Aaron Rodgers, harasses him all day. They haven't been able to run the ball, necessarily effectively, average under 4 yards a carry both games. So It's not really a good spot here for that offensive line going against the pass rush, but I understand if you got to start Aaron Rodgers. On the flip side, Jimmy Garoppolo, a more than manageable quarterback. I don't know necessarily if you're starting him or not. He's not going to blow you away with any stats anyway. They are ailing at the running back position, so you could see a lot of sweeps, a lot of short screen passes, which could boost Garoppolo's numbers this week, but I'm kind of straying away from it. Aaron Rodgers, obviously, if you got him, you're starting him here. And lastly, Monday Night Football, Philly on the road against the Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott has actually struggled against Philly in his career. 8 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Only one game in which he's passed over 300 yards. So obviously you're starting Dak here coming off kind of a down game. No touchdowns thrown, under 300 passing yards. That's pretty rare for a Dak Prescott game, especially in the recent past. So you're going to be firing him up here at home. Amari Cooper dealing with some bruised ribs, soreness. Who knows if he's going to be ready to go. I think he'll play through it, but that's never a good sign to have some bruised ribs for a wide receiver. So, and then CeeDee Lamb, they're going to be able to make some passing work. Philly's been actually really good against quarterbacks so far. They face Jimmy Garoppolo, and then they also face Matt Ryan. I get it, the pass rush, but Brandon Graham, we know he's out for the season, so that could hurt that Philly front a little bit. You're probably starting Dak Prescott here. If you drafted him, you have to. On the flip side, Jalen Hurts, this is a good spot for him. Dallas Cowboys defense, don't get me wrong, is a little underrated. Held Justin Herbert just to 1 passing touchdown, albeit could have had a bigger day with maybe some penalties, but Herbert still finished over 300 yards. And Jalen Hurts, you know the rushing floor is there. Didn't play necessarily great against 49ers. He did have a couple of calls called back, couple touchdowns. So don't get me wrong, Jalen Hurts, you're probably firing him up here in a potential shootout that I could see with these two teams. But you know the rushing floor is safe with Jalen Hurts. So Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott, if you got him, you're starting him. So anyway, that's all your quarterbacks ahead of week 2, all your sits, all your starts. If there's a quarterback you want to know more about, just drop in the comment section. I'll be glad to give you my opinion. So once again, for the first 4 downs, it's been B. Scott, and I'm out.